Geography series. I have great pleasure in inviting your valued attention to this episode dealing with types and distribution of forests. In my previous episode, detailed discussion was carried out on distribution, utilization and conservation of mineral resources. In this episode, let us understand the forest resources, its types and its distribution on the earth. This episode consists of following modules. 1. Forest defined, distribution of forests, types of forests, forest category and classification, forested area today. Forest defined. A forest is an area with a high density of trees. There are many definitions of a forest based on the various criteria. These plant communities cover approximately 9.4% of the earth's surface or 30% of total land area, though they once covered much more, about 50% of total land area in many different regions and function as habitats for organisms. Although a forest is classified primarily by trees, a forest ecosystem is defined intrinsically with additional species such as fungi. Forests sometimes contain many tree species only within a small area or relatively few species over large areas. Forests are often home to many animal and plant species, and biomass per unit area is high compared to other vegetation communities. Forests are differentiated from woodlands by the extent of canopy coverage in a forest, the branches and the foliage of separate trees often meet or interlock, although there can be gaps of varying sizes within an area referred to as forest. Woodland has a more continuously open canopy with trees spaced further apart, which allows more sunlight to penetrate to the ground between them. Distribution of forests. Factors which are influencing the distribution of forests are as follows. 1. Temperature. 2. Precipitation. 3. Soil. 4. Altitude. 5th. Slope factors. 6th. Wind. And 7th. Sunlight. The most important factor for plant growth is temperature, and it has been proved that plant requires at least a monthly average temperature of 6 degrees Celsius for its growth. Both excessive low and excessive high temperatures are harmful to plant. Next to temperature is precipitation, which is an important factor influencing the plant growth. Hydrophytes plants are water-loving plants. Xerophytes grow under extremely dry condition. Mesophytes plants grow in moderate water conditions. The chemical contents, porosity, permeability, retentive capacity of soil determines the growth of different types of vegetation. Altitudinal variations affect plant growth as the temperature falls with the rise in the altitude. Plant species differ with variation in altitude. Like altitude, it also modifies and controls the vegetation type in a region. Leeward and windward side of the vegetation affects the type of vegetation. Excessive movement of wind restricts the growth of trees due to increase in the transpiration. Sunlight favors the growth of plants by supplying energy for the manufacture of wood through photosynthesis. Forests can be found in all regions capable of sustaining tree growth at altitudes up to the tree line, except where natural fire frequency or other disturbances is too high, or where the environment has been altered by human activity. Global forests are found in tropical, temperate and frigid zones. In tropical region, rain forests and monsoon and deciduous forests are found depending upon the influencing factors for the growth of trees. In temperate or in mid-latitude, Mediterranean forests and temperate mixed forests are seen, whereas in high and mid-latitude, softwood forests are found due to low temperature, example taiga or coniferous forests. The latitude 10 degree north and south of the equator are mostly covered in tropical rainy forest, and the latitudes between 53 degree north and 67 degree north have boreal forest. As a general rule, forests dominated by broadleaf forests are more species rich than those dominated by coniferous or needle leaf forests, although exceptions exist. Among the major forested biomas are rainforest comes under tropical and temperate region, taiga forest, temperate hardwood forest, tropical dry forest. The tropical hardwood forest, including rainforests, occur throughout the lowland areas of the tropics, especially along the routes of rivers in Central and South America and in Central and West Africa and in the East Indies and in parts of India, Indochina and Australia. They are characterized by an annual rainfall of 160 to 400 inches or 460 to 1000 centimeter annually, with an average temperature of at least 80 degree Fahrenheit or 27 degrees Celsius, and support a great diversity of plant life. The foliage is a luxuriant and interlaced community from ground level to the tree canopies, and the trees support the omnipresent woody vines and air plants. Although some tropical forests are deciduous, most tropical trees are considered evergreen because their leaves are not shed simultaneously at a certain season. However, they are believed to drop and renew their leaves sporadically each year. Even though they cover only 7% of the Earth's landmass, about 1/2 of the planet's species live there. The temperate hardwood forests of North America, Europe and Asia are marked by seasonal rainfall distribution. The trees, typically species of beech, maple, ash, oak, elm and basswood, are deciduous but are often mixed with coniferous, especially in areas of poorer soil. The temperate hardwood forests overlap the boreal or northern coniferous forest belts, which encircle the earth in the subarctic and cool temperate regions south of the treeless tundra. The vegetation is typically fir and spruce in northern regions, and at higher altitudes, and pine, lurch and hemlock in southern regions, and at lower altitudes. In transitional areas, especially where there is pronounced season without rain, Scrub forests are frequently found in which the trees are more widely spaced and grasses intervenes. Non-tropical rainy forests exist in New Zealand, Tasmania, Chile and the Pacific coast of North America. In the United States, east of the prairies are the northern forest belt in which sugar, maple, beech and birch mix with the conifers, the hardwood forest belt, a typical temperate forest and the warmer southern forests belt encompassing many stands of smaller pines and cypress thickness. In the chiefly coniferous Rocky Mountain forest belt, the characteristics of redwood and giant mingle with Douglas fir and other species. Types of forest. Forests can be classified in different ways and to different degrees of specificity. One such way is in terms of bioma, in which they exist combined with leaf longevity of the dominant species, whether they are evergreen or deciduous. Another distinction is whether the forest composed predominantly of broadleaf trees, coniferous trees or mixed. Boreal forests occupy the subarctic zone and are generally evergreen and coniferous. Temperate zones support both broadleaf deciduous forests and evergreen coniferous forests. Warm temperate zones support broadleaf evergreen forest including laurel forests. Tropical and subtropical forests include tropical and subtropical moist forests, tropical and subtropical dry forests and tropical and subtropical coniferous forest. Zygonomy classifies forests based on their overall physical structure or developmental stage. Forests can also be classified more specifically based on the climate and the dominant tree species present, resulting in numerous different forest types. A number of global forest classification systems have been proposed, but none has gained universal acceptance. UNEP CCMS forests category classification system is a simplification of other more complex systems. UNESCO's forest and woodland subformations are the example for this. This system divides the world's forest into 26 major types which reflect climatic zones as well as the principal types of trees. These 26 major types can be reclassified into 6 broader categories: temperate needleleaf, temperate broadleaf and mixed tropical, moist, tropical dry, sparse trees and parkland and forest plantations. Each category is described as a separate section below. Temperate needleleaf forest. Temperate needleleaf forests mostly occupy the higher altitude regions of the northern hemisphere as well as high altitude zones and some warm temperate areas, especially on nutrient poor or otherwise unfavorable soils. These forests are composed entirely or nearly so of coniferous species. Northern hemisphere pines, pines, pica, lurches, silver firs are the example. Temperate broadleaf and mixed forest. Temperate broadleaf and mixed forests include a substantial component of trees in the anthophyte. They are generally characteristics of the warmer temperate latitudes but extend to cool temperate ones, particularly in the southern hemisphere. Tropical moist forest. Tropical moist forests include many different forest types. The best known and the most extensive are the lowland evergreen broadleaf rainy forest, include for example the seasonally uninundated forests and the terra forests of the Amazon basin. Mangrove forests. Mangrove forests also fall within this broad category, as do most of the tropical coniferous forests of Central America. Tropical dry forest. Tropical dry forests are characteristics of areas in the tropics affected by seasonal drought. Sparse trees and parkland. Taiga is an example for this. Sparse trees and parklands are forests with open canopies of 10 to 30% crown cover. They occur principally in areas of transition from forested to non-forested landscapes. Forest plantation. Forest plantations generally intend for the production of timber and pulpwood increase the total area of forest worldwide. Commonly monospecific and or composed of introduced tree species are found here. Forest category classification. A number of global forest classification systems have been proposed, but none has gained universal acceptance. Broad categories are of 26. 26 forest categories are given below. They are temperate and boreal forest types, evergreen needle-leaf forest, deciduous needle-leaf forest, mixed broadleaf forest, broadleaf evergreen forest, deciduous broadleaf forest, freshwater swamp forest, dry forests, which is called as a natural forest with greater than 30% canopy, disturbed natural forests, sparse trees and parkland, exotic species, native species, unspecified forests, unclassified forests. These are the forests of temperate zone. Now, let us discuss the tropical forest types. Lowland evergreen broadleaf forest, lower mountain forest, upper mountain forest, freshwater swamp forest, semi-evergreen moist broadleaf forest, mixed broadleaf forest, needle-leaf forest, mangrove forest, disturbed natural forests, deciduous forests and dry forests with natural forests with greater than 30% canopy below 1200 meters altitude. Thorny forests, which is considered as a natural forest with greater than 30% canopy cover below 1200 meter altitude, in which the canopy is mainly composed of deciduous trees. The last is the sparse trees and parkland. This natural forest in which the tree canopy covers is between 10 to 30%. Exotic species plantation, intensively managed forests with greater than 30% canopy cover, which have been planted by people with species not naturally occurring in the country. Native species plantation, which are intensively managed forests with greater than 30% canopy cover, which have been planted by people with species that occur naturally in the country. forested area today. In early times, the only non-forested area of the earth were those where the land was either excessively dry, where the environment was favorable. Forests extended from the equator to the timberline, that is, as far as those regions in the extreme north or at high altitude where generally there is perpetual snow. Climatic conditions favor the continued expansion of the forests as the ice cap continues to recede and the timberline to withdraw, since the forests with their mammal and bird inhabitants. To sum up the whole episode, forests are important renewable natural resources. Owing to its richness in a variety of resources, these forests have been rampantly exploited to feed the needs of the growing population. The chief economic product of forest is timber. Forests provide raw materials for a variety of industries, a major source of household energy in the developing countries. Worldwide, about half the timber cut each year is used as fuel for heating and cooking, especially in less developed countries. Millions of people are employed in worldwide trade in forest produce is estimated to 100 billion US dollars annually. Forest serves as a habitat for a variety of species which require large habitats without human interference. It serves as an important biodiversity reserve and as a gene reserve of a variety of wild species. This biodiversity is a very vital source for evolving new economic varieties in agriculture, horticulture, veterinary and medical fields. By absorbing atmospheric CO2, forests act as big sinks for CO2 and moderate the greenhouse effect. Vast expanse of forests and other vegetation slows the runoff of water and allows water to percolate into the soil, thus helping regulating the stream flow. Further, the leaf and plant debris on the forest floor slow water as it runs along the ground. This reduces erosion by allowing water to soak into the soil. Forests increase the water holding capacity of the soil. Because of the thick humus layer, loose soil and soil retaining powers of trees, long roots, forests are vitally important for preserving adequate water supplies. Tree roots penetrate compacted soil and increase soil porosity. The forests being the storehouse of a variety of resources which directly benefit the human society.